everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of the ABP, the Arms Boomenlag Project. My name is Arms Boomenlag. If you're listening to us after the fact, very exciting announcement here on the show today. We have just managed to get on Apple Podcasts finally. I was so happy last night, so you can see and listen essentially to all the fantastic content we've had over the last 5 months from the ABP. About 39 episodes and counting of your neighbors next door and folks who are making a difference here in Windsor and Essex County. It is now searchable on Apple Podcasts. Just search Arms Boomenlag. So we are on episode 39 tonight. We got a great guest, somebody I'm really pumped up to welcome to the program today, and hopefully that you can connect with, as she's led a very interesting life here and one that has entertained hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of families here locally. But as we usually talk about on the show, last week we had an amazing guy, somebody who partners with our program, Eric Bonici from Eyes on Windsor. He's the editor-in-chief. He is our website partner, and we had a great conversation about all things Windsor Essex and more. So that's up on Spotify and YouTube. And then next week, oh, this is going to be great. Really looking forward to welcoming a good friend of mine, Jan Kaffer, who is the president and CEO of Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare. She will be retiring in April of 2022, and then Bill Mara will be taking over for her. So Jan's got just amazing stories, great stories to talk about the pandemic, Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare over the years, and more. So Jan Kaffer is live with us the 16th, actually, next Thursday at 8 o'clock here on the Arms Boomenlag Project. So my guest, 35 years and counting here on the program. She has been in the Windsor and Essex County area, entertaining so many families. I've had a chance to work with her through a number of different events, from Children's Fest to the CKLW Halloween Harvest Fun Day, the Easter Extravaganza, countless fundraisers over the years I've seen her at and had a chance to interview her. She's always funny, kind, and engaging. And she's going to talk a little bit more about, some of the performances to remember through her years, and talk about what's next and what's to come for her. I'm really excited and honored to spend some time this evening with somebody that just such a bubbly personality and such a lovely lady to talk to. Carol Crooks, otherwise known as Claire All the Clown, who is joining us live on the show. How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. How are you, Arms?
Oh my gosh, it's been a while, it to say the least, right?
Totally. But you know what? It just fits like a glove again, right? It's like we're up on a stage promoting an event or a charity or something together. It's just you and me talking it out. You throwing in some one-liners for me, like going like, and throwing me off or whatever. It was, yeah, I was like, you were quite fun up there, it was lots of fun. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, I'm just happy to connect with you. I know that I say this often with my guests. It's like I made a list when I said to my wife we're starting the show. I'm like, there's a bunch of people I need to get on, and you were on the list. And I know we had to kind of shuffle things around, but I'm glad that we spent some time before the year runs out.
Yeah.
I mean, we got so much ground to cover tonight. I want to talk about your retirement. I want to talk about the impact you've left on so many families, including my own, over the years. And some of your memorable appearances through Windsor Essex, and there's been many over the 35 years. But let's talk about, I think, the one question that always opens up with folks who come on the show, Carol, is how you been during the pandemic, from a professional standpoint up until your retirement to even a personal standpoint over the last 19, 20 months.
Well, personally, it hasn't been too big of a change because I've worked for myself out of my home here, and mostly opposite schedules from people. So a lot of my time spent in the last 35 years of working is being here home, working from my home, and then heading out. So the only thing that I really missed professionally was the heading out part. But I had to pivot like most people. And I changed my little clown room down here in my basement into my studio and started performing videos, because I really thought to myself, what are these kids going to do? Like, what are these parents going to do? Everyone would take their kids out to the Easter extravaganza, or they take them out to all these events. And I thought, these kids are going to miss something. So I started making videos for them. And then I started doing more videos, personalized videos and video shows. And I really got to like doing the videos, to be honest. It was quite amazing. My husband has been working from home for 2 years too. So like, it's not like, well, more than 2 years actually. Yeah. So it wasn't a huge pivot for either one of us. that way, being here. We've created our home and our space so that we could work here and so that we could have our own spaces. And a lot of people kind of, that caught them off guard from when the pandemic hit, but we had already been set up that way. So the only thing I really had to do is I had to get better internet. Had to get
I think
like
most people,
everybody.
right?
Yeah. Did you have to get better internet too, or?
I did. You know, I was working from home when I was working in healthcare in the initial stages of the pandemic, and then working around the clock.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I said 9 to 5 was out the window at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know, it was a combination of on site, at home, and then now in my role at the Humane Society, primarily, I've like you, I mean, this is, if I turn the camera this way, it's an unfinished basement. I got little tyke stuff over here. I've got crayons and toys, and I kind of, this is like a fake backdrop behind me, right? Just until I
Yeah.
get like an actual office set up. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had to
Yeah.
get the whole upgrade the internet because, you know, the video calls come, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, it's one of those things too. I think you and I are very much similar that way. That, and I've been lucky over the last little bit, although who knows what's going to happen after this Friday,
Yeah. I know.
with some of the new, I
Mm.
guess, I guess guidance coming from the health unit. But
Yeah.
I like to meet people. I
Mhm.
like to get out into the
Mhm.
community. I like to go meet our donors from the Humane Society. I like to spend some time with them, really kind of gauge their personality. And I know over the years I've seen you, especially on the stage, and when you're
Mhm.
in that element, it really is. And I mean this with the utmost sincerity, Carol. It's magic to see you do what you do, because it's indescribable. Like, I can almost, I guess, because we're almost like the same type of personality, I
Yeah.
can feed off of that when you're
Yeah.
on stage, because I know
Yeah.
you're in your element and you're
Yeah.
drawing from that from the crowd too.
Well, you know what? That is the one thing that really truly is the one thing that was missing, was that feedback. Um and and that one-on-one. I really had to change everything that I did, but I tried to make it more positive. I tried to, like, instead of saying to myself, oh my gosh, this is really hard, oh, how am I going to do like my favorite tricks that I love to do and get these kids and people involved and parents, up on stage with me, or
Mhm.
so I really had to pivot. So I said to myself, and don't make that a negative, make it a positive, flip it around. What can you do that would give you joy and give your audience something else to view? So I said to myself, okay, I've had all these great ideas going in my brain about gags and routines I could do that I could never do at a birthday party or never do on a festival stage, where I've got half an hour to get in and half an hour to get out, or you know so I said, let's take all those little like teeny ideas. Look, like a short pencil is better than a long memory, right? There we go. So I would write them all down, and like, I can't do that at a birthday party, or oh, I got this trick, can't do that on stage, can't da,
Sure.
da, da, da. So I shaped them all into little routines. So, and people were killing themselves laughing. Like, parents were like, that was hysterical. And then they'd blow up, they'd go wrong, and I'd have to fix them because I'm going live, right? So I'm tap dancing, trying to figure out all this stuff. And then it kind of just gave me joy. It gave me a challenge. And I started writing off a list of all these different things I ever wanted to do on stage. And if I ever had a TV show, that was always a dream. Oh, I get a TV show. If I ever got a TV show, I would do these shows, these little skits, and it was quite a challenge. I'd spend my week, okay, what's my script, what's my music, I'd have to edit music, I'd have to edit, bring out these tricks, relearn them, because some of them I hadn't touched in a long time. And um and then it just started snowballing, and I was just like, yeah, I just said, spread joy, not germs. That was my closing. I wanted to remind kids to wash their hands and sneeze into their armpit or whatever, and
Sure.
spread joy, not germs, right? So that was kind of my reason. About 6 to 8 months in, I'd almost made it through the list, and things were starting to open up again because it was the summertime. So I took a little bit of a break, and then I came back and started doing these clownios. So there were personalized videos. So people would send me information for their grandson out in Boise, Idaho, or friend over here, or oh, you were at my daughter's third birthday party. She's 33 and gonna have a baby now. And can you do a video for her? And I'm like, sure, okay, no problem. I'm like, am I doing a gender reveal or am I,
Yeah, like what am I doing here?
Oh yeah. So I just had to really pivot, and I found that really fun. I found it enjoyable. I like to think the people who watched them found them enjoyable because I developed a following online, and some of those videos went like 3,000 plus people and shares all over. I was like, what is going on here? So it was lots of fun. It was lots of fun. I I hate to say the pandemic was fun for me, but it was. I was in my creative happy space down here. So that's that's a long answer for your short question, but
Oh,
that's
that's
pretty much what
I
happened.
saw some of the videos and I'm like, I mean, kudos to you. I mean, even doing this particular show, it's like I have some assistance when I can from the back end from my wife Carrie when she has a spare second, but I
Hmm.
get the whole, oh my god, you have to edit, you got to do this, you have to do that. I mean, that's why, eventually when we did this, we decided to launch this show. It was like, hey, I'm doing it live and it's going to be raw and whatever happens, happens. And we
Oh
just
yeah.
put it out because it's just like, people, and God bless them, they can do so much editing and technology is such a wonderful thing that, when you talk, Carol, about, doing a TV show, like one of my dreams was always to like host like an actual talk show. And,
Hmm.
to have those, it's a whole team production. But nowadays, when you have the internet like this, you can do it, but it's a lot of
Hmm.
time, right? It's a
Oh,
ton of time.
oh my gosh, it is so much. See, like, Arms, I don't know if you know this about me, but I graduated with a drama com degree, right? So
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
specialty in television production. So I originally was this close to being hired at CBC. I
come
had my
on.
interview all set, and it was in the 90s, and that's when CBC was pulled out of City Windsor.
Yeah.
And literally the day of my interview, they called me and said, sorry, we can't do your interview today. They've just put a freeze on hiring. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then they pulled him out, right? So I spoke with the guy, and I had been knocking on his door and knocking on his door for months and months and months. And he said, Carol, we're going to fit you in. We just have to go through the process of the interview. I said, I don't care. I'll sweep your floors. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And,
Absolutely.
he said, yeah, we'll put you in. We put you in. They were sending a guy up. I don't know if you've ever, Mike Punga. He was a really good cameraman. Anyways, they were
Yeah.
sending him up to Hockey Night in Canada. And, so they were shuffling people around, and then they were going to fit me in the bottom somewhere. I'm like, yeah, right on.
Yeah, maybe
CBC, I'm
then.
at the
Yeah.
big leagues. I'm like, Mom, university wasn't wasted. Anyways, because seriously, well, I'll get into that in a second,
Yeah.
anyways, so at that point, I had to make a decision. I was doing as much of this clowning stuff as I was doing video production. So video
Yeah.
production is in my background. I'm not completely a neophyte, but at the same time, when I graduated, digital was just coming in, right? So
Mhm.
I kind of had to reorient myself. Editing is editing, but I still had to learn some programs and stuff. I tried to do as much live like you did too, to avoid the editing. Um, but when I did my clownios, that was completely different. I had to get the name right. I had to get so many takes, and it was a little more difficult. So I chose to do it wisely. I had an intro that was set, an extra that was set, and then the rest was all personalized and woven in through it. Um, and there's a certain expense too to all the programs and all the equipment and
Oh,
my
100%.
lighting.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, my lighting down here. But the government was very kind to me to help me out with that. Thank you very much. That was very, very helpful to an artist like me who, you know, makes their bread and butter by going out to places and spending that time. And I have friends who still haven't, you know, really re entered. They've had to pivot, um,
Mhm.
because you get a few months here and then something else happens, right? So um,
Yeah.
I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be blessed with that, and to be blessed with that background. I have a live and learn file that could fill this room, like fill the room and then some. Like I could pop the roof off the house. So I don't take anything for granted. Any little experience that I have, it's always goes in here, goes in the mental Rolodex, and I'm ready to pull it out at all time. Just like a joke, you know, I put a joke in there, and oh, I'm looking for that time to pull it out and bring it back in. Yeah,
Well, kudos
yeah.
to you, I think, for being able to adapt. And yeah, life's funny like that, right? It's like, you go
Mm,
back so many years and it's like
yep.
wife Carrie, when I'm like, okay, I got Carol on and we're going to talk a little bit about,
Hey,
the events over the years.
yeah, so that brings up a question from me to you. When
Okay, lay it on me.
when was our first gig together? Like I can't remember which one it is. It just seems like
Oh,
you've always been there. And your
I
mom and
know.
your dad and your little sister who grew up to be a big, beautiful girl. Like, I mean, you guys, I it's gotta be, help me out here. I don't know what it was.
Honestly, okay, so we were, I remember Marissa got,
Mm-hmm.
like, she just, actually, my sister, she's just moving back to Windsor. She just got a job at the school board. So she's
Wow, good
really
for
excited.
her.
She was teaching. Yeah, she moved up a couple years ago to London. She was teaching in London, and
Uh-huh.
she got a not fill in, but a substitute teacher gig, I
Yeah,
guess.
like a supply
Um,
position.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With the Catholic school board. So she's actually moving back this weekend, which is awesome.
Oh,
She misses
great.
Windsor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're really pumped. But I remember her because she had we had a neighbor. That was, I think, my first encounter with Claire All the Clown. Was you were at a neighbor's birthday party, and
Mm-hmm.
Marissa had to be like young. And I remember she's like, "Mom, mom, 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 arms, arms, arms!" And then she's like, "I'm like, Claire, oh yeah, Claire," because I remember seeing you in
Mm-hmm.
the Star, and this is
Yeah,
before I
yeah,
got into radio and TV. And
yeah.
then from a radio standpoint, oh man, like probably during the when I was on the A team, like 2004,
Right.
2005, at
Okay.
the different
Okay.
festivals, like Kids
Yeah.
Fest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember her about at one of the Halloween events. I think she was probably 9, 10, 11, maybe ish. I don't know. But I remember her coming up on stage because sometimes, like, if the weather's bad, there weren't a lot of people there, right? Because there's been a
Yeah.
few bad days that we've had those. And
Oh yeah.
she was really helpful to come on up, and oh man, that's so sweet. Like she was
I
always there and just like looking at me like this. Hi. Like,
and that was really all the kids though. And I'm not trying to butter your bread here, Carol. I really mean this honestly. Like I maintain, because like God bless my son, I love him to death, love Liam.
mm-hmm,
I do anything for
mm-hmm,
the kid.
uh-huh.
Kids are exhausting. Like, they're exhausting, and there's days like honestly, like I love my son, but I'm like, man, I'm wiped. And but to see, like, I'm gonna say it, like that's why when I saw that you were retiring, I'm like, God bless you. But I'm like, it's the kids' loss. Like you were able to just siphon their energy and craft it into, because I remember, like, you're right, my sister would be like in awe of Clairol, and then I'd look over, like we'd be at the Halloween Harvest Fun Day at Ojibwe, I'd look over, I do my bit on the stage, and here's Clairol. Never mind, get arms off, and they want to see Clairol, right? So they get Clairol goes up, and then all the kids are like, and you just that's a God given talent, my friend. That's all I got to
Well,
say
you
about
know
that.
what? I really truly believe that is a gift from God. I don't. I like. I'm a faithful person, and I really do believe that is a gift from God. Um, I also believe that I never if you know me, you also know I can be quite kid like at any moment in time. I I am a very introverted person, which people don't believe when they say that when I say that, um but when I need to, that comes out, and I don't know how I bring it out. I just know that I really love to hear laughter. So that's really the whole premise of a clown, is to make people laugh, feel good. And I think part of it is, I wanted people to like me. I think part of my introversion is a slight lack of self-esteem, and so in order for people to bring that up, it really wanted people to like me. And that was my main drive. And I would do anything to get a kid to like me. I'd stand on my head. I would, if they asked me, can you do this? I remember one time I was at the Kingsville Migration Festival, and my job was just to walk around and be the icing on the cake of the festival and just make it fun for people, right? So I'm playing on a brand new, they got this brand new playground down by the lakeside, and I'm playing with these kids on this brand new playground. And they have this great big bar that goes across, and then you walk across this other bridge up here, and the kids were like, can you jump across there, Clara? I'm saying, yeah. And I went and okay, now you understand, I was a gymnast at one point in time in my life. I went and I grabbed, but that was like back when I was like young. I was probably close to 50 when I did this. And I was like, springboarded across, grabbed onto that, what I thought was a like parallel bar or uneven bar, but it was like about this big wide. I grabbed onto it, and my old arthritic hands from 150 balloons a day grabbed onto it, and my big feet swung, and my dress was flying behind me, and I went, boom. And they're all like, whoa. I'm like, anything for a laugh. Oh my God. That's when I realized, maybe you should not be doing so much physical comedy. But oh my gosh. Well, see, and it makes you laugh, right? And the parents go, whoa, did she just do that? Or the other things that I really liked, they really liked doing was juxtaposition. So like people would expect one thing, and then it would be another. For example, one day, the Under the Big Top is an event they hold every couple of years for We Care for Kids, right?
Yep,
We Care for Kids Essex, and Windsor Essex Care for Kids. There we go. And so I walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the 4th or 5th time I've been here. What can I do that's new? That these people, have come back year after year. What can I do that's new? And I don't know. And I see Ron Gundel. Do you know him? He's a magician.
Yep.
Fabulous magician, heart of gold. Follow him and his rabbit on Facebook and Instagram if you want. But he comes walking in, and I'm not kidding you. He's got, see the length of my room here? He comes walking in like this. And he's carrying, like, I'm coming backwards, but he's carrying the world's largest magic wand. It's the world's largest. Like, it was this wide around and spanning this room. And I walked up to him, and I reached in my pocket, and I pulled out a magic wand that was this big. And I said, oh, my finger isn't better. And I'm like,
oh, that's funny, man.
I mean, that's just it's the whole illusion of too too big, too loud, too small, and never missing that opportunity. I like I say, I was a drama and a communications major, right? So drama and improv, you've probably heard this from a lot of artists or improvs that you've seen before. You always say yes and, right? So when a kid says something to me as Clairol, I would say, well, yes. And if that kid would go with me, I could always set them up for a joke or a gag, and then always give a little wink to the adults as well. Because if I didn't include the adults, it was boring for me if I didn't. If the kids took up a lot of energy, but for my own mental sanity and for the mental sanity of those parents that are sitting there watching me do the little kid thing, I always had to throw something in there and then it became a whole family thing, right? So parents were happy to bring their kids to see me because they didn't feel so, like, oh, okay, let's watch Caillou again or whatever, not to diss Caillou, but
no.
I actually heard something. Oh, where did I read it or saw it about? Oh, the worst children's television program that parents just like cannot watch. They get so tired of. And it was Caillou, and God bless him, he's Canadian, but at the same time,
Listen, like I will watch Caillou. Like Liam's not super into Caillou. Like he's
hmm
watched it a few times.
hmm
For me, that the one that I'm just like, how is this even a thing? Honest
hmm
to God, is, and I
hmm
don't know if you're familiar with this, is Blippy. Um,
Blippi, yes, I've done
yeah.
Blippi parties. Yeah,
Oh my
Blippi.
God. Like what? I don't get. Like he just
He
like
wanders
Blippy's on.
around
He
and
like
like,
watches it, and I'm
oh,
like
it's
Carol.
a
I'm like I don't
pencil.
get it. I don't
What
get it.
can we do with a pencil? You know what? It's really good for little kids because I think I thought the same thing as an adult, but I had to step back into my 3-year-old brain, which has been engaged for a long time. Is seriously, um, is a 3-year-old. Everything is really new and very visceral. Like things are
Sure.
becoming real to them, right? At that age and that stage. And that's where I had to be very mindful as a clown is that kids are afraid of big, tall, scary creatures like a clown. And they can't make sense of it. Are you real or are you not? Like I had a kid come up to me and was like, are you real? Or like, and that was a little kid. And then you get the 10-year-olds like, I got a wig, blah, 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 right? But the little kids, they're really asking. They're like, are you real? And I'm like, yeah. And then I pull out a picture of my mom and dad and they're clowns. Or I pull out the picture of my grandpa. Have you ever seen a picture? Yeah, you've seen it. My grandpa picture and me when I was Clairol. Oh my gosh, I gotta show it to you
Do
because
you have it? You got to
I
refresh
love
my
this one. I
memory.
love it. I love it.
Okay, I got
I
to see
haven't.
this.
I've retired, but I haven't packed up my clown room because things have been happening and lots of other things.
Sure.
Anyway, so my picture.
I got to see this.
Okay, so this is. I would say, oh well, yeah. I've got my mom and my dad and show. I say, you want to see a picture of me and my grandpa when I was about your age, and they'd be like, yeah, like because they're looking at the picture of my mom and dad, and they're like, and I
Uh
go,
huh.
okay. I say, I got. I'd show him. I don't know if you can see this picture.
I'm gonna blow it up. Hang on.
Okay, it's Einstein holding a baby, and I put like red stickers on their nose, and then I re-photocopied it so I looked like I was a clown. And I'd say, "Yeah, I was just a baby then, and I got his hair when I grew up." Now this one in particular is funny because it's from another show, but I can make him talk too. Like, hello, hey, hi, you're cute. Look at Clairol, or whatever, and.
That's
But,
awesome.
but I'd
That's
show
that's
this, and the parents would go, "It's Einstein." I'm like, and then I would say, "Yeah, I got the hair. The brains aren't attached. Who knew?" Right? So you just have to. I think kids liked the realism, but the complete way out there, of Clairol. I think and I do miss that with the kids. I do miss that with the kids a
sure.
lot. And somebody said to me that the other day. They say, "Oh, I know why." Because I was asked to convene a children's Christmas party for a club that my husband and I are a member of, and the person came up to me, "Clairol, the Christmas party is on December 5th." I'm like, "I'm retired. I'm not doing the show again this year. I'm not doing it." And he says, "No, no, I want you to run it." I'm like, So I did the Christmas party. I ran the Christmas party for them. And the kids were we had Santa arrive by boat. This was for the Windsor Yacht Club. We had Santa arrive
Oh,
by boat,
nice.
which is when I was a member there when I was a little kid, like this, like I was these kids, like, 50 plus years ago. And
Sure.
the Santa arrived by boat at this particular time, and they were just like, he's on the boat, Santa's on the boat. And it made all the guys driving the boat wear reindeer antlers. Anyway,
That's awesome.
I know. Anyway, so one of my committee members, looked at side of me and said, don't you miss this, Carol? And I was like, you know what? I really do miss the magic of that 3 to 6 year old age
Oh, for
where
sure.
everything's magical, you know? Like you have, like Liam is like the perfect little thing right now for you in terms of that magic, right? It's all coming to life for him. And that's where Blippi comes in, bringing it all back. That's where Blippi comes in. He's helping that age of child realize that the real world is the real world, you know? And it's not easy for an adult to watch, I have to admit. I've watched it. And
It's not even I don't mind him, but it's like it's almost like when I did the deep dive on him, right? Because I'm like, okay, like Liam's in like enamored with this guy, and I'm like, okay, and now he's got like, it's like a different world we live in, my friend. It's like he's got from a financial standpoint, he's got like Moonbug backing him, which is in the YouTube production company. He's got his own animated series now, and it's like I did the deep dive. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah. Well,
like
you know
wow.
what? As an entertainer, would love to be there, but at the same time, you know, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
No, it's okay, buddy. It's all
we
good.
all
This is what the
love to
show's
be there.
about, right?
And and as an entertainer, you know what? He nailed it. He
Yeah,
nailed
he did.
that age. He nailed the presentation, the demeanor, the character. He's got it. And that's what they're looking for. They're TV, internet, YouTube, whoever, whatever platform, they're looking for that to put you in that age category, right? Um, I don't know where I would fit if I were to ever do that because I don't. I think of Clairol as like a living cartoon, right? So you can watch the Animaniacs with your kids and still have a really good laugh, and that's where I would land. But I don't know how well that would land with TV land. The world will never know.
We've got a couple of comments rolling in here. Let's get to a
Sure.
few of them. Richard St. Dennis says, wonderful guest and entertainer.
Oh, thank
To
you,
you, my
Richard.
friend.
Thank you.
Our good buddy Eric at Eyes on Windsor. I love Clairol and her giant camera. I remember the giant camera,
Oh
right?
my gosh. My giant camera, that kind of became like a second appendage for me. I kind of had to every once in a while say, Carol, don't bring the camera because even I was getting bored of it, you know. So I was like, but everyone, I always put new pictures in. I always did something different. And everyone loved it when I pulled out all the noses for all the people in the. I think at one point I did a picture with at least 12 people and everybody had a nose on.
Sure.
Oh, we could never do that in the pandemic now. Never do that in the
Right.
pandemic. But everybody loved it. They're like, yeah, you got a nose for him? Put one on Grandpa. I'm like, all right. And we'd all get a picture. Yeah, I love that camera. I still have it in here. Sadly, my friend who makes those props, he passed away just right before the pandemic. So I can't get that camera anymore. It's gonna be a collector's item. I also can't get, where is it? I don't know
I
if you
love it.
remember my googly eyes here.
I
There we
I
go.
do. Those two?
Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, he made
Did
these
did
two.
wow, what a
Yeah,
talented guy.
yeah. And this is like my third set of these. But look at, they're like all falling apart. Like it's like I'm
You
losing
gotta hang
eyelashes here. I don't know.
yeah, you
I don't
gotta hang
know.
on to that,
Oh,
right?
I'm gonna
Just
hang
for
on
the
to that.
keepsake.
Yeah, and
Um,
he was a really great guy. He was from Pennsylvania. His name was Peachy Keen. He was kind of one of my mentors. He had this great little like this, you know, like this, and he one of the things that I took away from him, and with complete consent, was he said, you know, when you watch clowns and they're doing their tricks, they kind of just go like this. Here's the trick. No, 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 no. Done. And then they reach in their box and they go, here's the trick. No, 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 no. Done. And they reach in. He says, why stop there? Why not just carry it through? And so that's when we started. He said, make getting the trick part of your persona, part of your act. And to this day, people will say to me, Oh my gosh. My dentist had me at many parties for her kids. And she says, every time I walk into the dentist, she goes, because I would reach, I'd literally like dive into my box, my dress would flip up, and I'd wiggle my butt, and I'd sing. A lot of times I was just in there like, okay, here we go. What am I going to do next? Try and find it, or I'd have to stall. And but it became like kind of a signature thing. And I had to, at one point, I had two costumes. I had a dress and I had some overalls. And I went to do it with my overalls on. They had big pockets on them in the back. And I started doing it. And then it came out and they were like, people were like, oh, big deal. And then as I left the party, the mom said to me, I knew her because I had actually went to high school with her. She said, you know, Clairol, you're much funnier with your dress on. And I'm like, okay, all right. Pitch the overalls.
Well, like, thank you for that.
All because I didn't go in and do this. It was like a cartoon, or like watching The Wizard of Oz or something. Like you wait for that moment to happen. They were waiting for that moment to happen. I was like, who knew? Anyway, was there a point? Did you ask me a question? I'm sorry.
No, that's the beauty of the show. We just riff and you just hang.
Go.
It's like, you know, two friends talking. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Couple more comments here. Rick Labonte, you were my kid's favorite. A class act.
Oh, thanks, Rick. That's so nice. Thanks so much.
Karen says, I still remember my kids' faces every time they saw me.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Oh my gosh, tell your kids I said hi, okay? I remember the Calababa family very well. My goodness. Oh, great parties. So many kids, like all over the place. Like, I don't remember all of them, but I try my best to remember as many as possible. The earlier years were easier to remember. I don't know. It's not like they blur. I do remember a lot of them. I don't recognize half of them now because they're all in their 30s and 40s and whatever, you know. Anyway, so yeah.
Well, you know, Carrie, my wife, Carrie, her mom and her dad were able to get Clairol to come to her 10th birthday. And she was so pumped. She's like, oh my God, when you have Carol on, like, I'm like, I don't know if she remember. I'm like, but I know we kind of talked about this before we went live, but the Siegel family in Tecumseh, right?
Yeah, I said, what was her last name? And you said Siegel. And I went, in Tecumseh, right? And you were like, whoa.
That's impressive, man. I got to tell you, that's super impressive, right? But do you Carol, do you get that though? Like, I mean, obviously, like the parents have that connection with you because I think you bring joy to the families and by association and parents because the kids are so happy to see you. But you ever like out and about and people are like, hey, Clairol, right? Even though you're not in
when
costume?
I'm like this, nope, my gig is up now. Not very often.
No way.
Not very often. And I really don't mind that because I've had some really adverse reactions.
Come on.
Okay, so no, I'm serious. And it's not a positive, it's not a negative thing. It's just kind of a weird thing. This one particular doctor in town, he and his wife had me at their two children's party every year since the time they were 3 until they were about 8 or 9, right? So think of how many parties that is. Think of how many times they had to do something. But their kids just love me, and they didn't mind seeing some of the same tricks time after time. But the doctor also knew my husband through work, and he would see my husband and say, "Hey, how's the clown doing?" You know, because my poor husband was married to the clown, right? And so, aside, guess what my dad said at our wedding? Because he worked for a pharmaceutical company at the time, and my dad said at our wedding, "Well, looks like our grandkids are going to be dopey clowns."
Like, oh my God. Like, thanks.
Anyway,
so this doctor,
we're out at an event. I didn't get to go to a lot of events with my husband during this tenure because I always had I didn't want to, I didn't want to be out super late and have to get up super early in the morning and go to work on weekends and, on evenings and all that stuff. So this was one particular event I did get to go to, which was Wines of the World, and in support of Rotary. And I, was really happy to be out there. I saw this doctor. I was standing next to my husband, and he comes up, he goes, "Hey, where's the clown?" And I said, "Hi, Dr. So-and-so, I'm right here." And he looked at me, and he walked, and he turned away, and he walked away. I'm like, again, low self-esteem. I'm going like, okay, what did I do?
Oh God.
But I think he was more embarrassed that he thought he was making fun of me. But
Yeah.
I didn't think he was making fun of me. I thought, well, that's what I do,
You should be, you know what, honest to God, like you should be like, and I know you are, but like you'd be damn proud to like, cause man, I feel bad, like I feel almost heartbroken a bit. And I know, when you retire, that's it. You're out, swan
Mhm.
song, that's it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I feel like you very much provided essential joy to families, right? I think that's crucial because that's a skill and a talent, man. Like I again, to see you in action over the years at you
Yeah.
call the festival that we were at together for whatever capacity,
Mhm.
uh, I think that's a skill, right? And I think by
Yeah.
all means that should be something you should be very proud of, because I think you've brought, judging by some of the comments we've got, some incredible joy to families here locally.
I'm grateful for those families that they supported me, because it wasn't always that way. At the very beginning, it was kind of tough. I had to move from
Sure.
being a drama clown to melding a circus clown to working with a partner. I worked with a partner originally, and we did a lot of shows in the States, and it was very slapsticky,
Wow.
very circus style. We even opened for a circus. I was asked to be a advanced clown for a circus, but I turned it down because I didn't want to be on the road even more than I already have been or had been. So
Mhm.
to change that and meld it and work it, it's a talent, but it takes practice, much like practice and a lot of work. And it if you ask my husband, he'll say, Carol doesn't shake the salt shaker without making a noise. So in other words, I'm always like making those noises. Luckily, I grew up as a kid doing that. I used to do like impressions for my my mom and dad's friends at their dinner parties. Like I would be a 6-year-old doing Richard Nixon impressions, or I had all these impressions that I'd pull out of my bag or whatever. But then I'd go back and I'd be really shy, right? And but I'd like they'd say, "Go do Richard Nixon, Carol," and I'd be like, "My fellow Americans," this 6-year-old would go. Anyways, but it takes a lot of practice, a lot of work, a lot of failing, a lot. Like I say, I have a live and learn file as big as this room. Um, a lot of failing, a lot of redoing, a lot of thinking, a lot of practice too. Like, holy crow, yeah, you don't know. I don't know if you remember at one of the festivals, I used to do this story called Dincerella and the Prancing Hints. So I'm not sure if I did it so much at festivals. I know I did it at children's festivals, at the Children's Fest a couple of times,
Mhm.
but most often I did it for schools and in libraries. And I'd bring out a book, and the letters would fall out of the book. And I'd like, how would I have to fix it? So I'd lick them all back and stick them all back in, and the letters would be all mixed up. And then I'd read the story mixed up and it's called a spoonerism, where you put the first letter on each word, mix them up, right? So the story became, instead of Cinderella and the Handsome Prince, it became Dincerella and the Prancing Hints, right? And I tell the story, once upon a time, they were two sad bisters, a mugly other, and Dincerella, right? And I would go and I'd teach clowns too. I've often been asked to go and teach clowns in the United States and Canada, and they'd always want me to do a performance. So I would, at the end of the lecture, I would do a performance, And I would put that in, and they were like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And then make it funny. Well, the culmination of that is like about 3 months of trying to memorize that story backwards, upside down, in the shower, wherever, when I'm driving, while I'm cleaning the house, cutting the lawn, doing whatever. And then adding the physicality of it. The physicality comes from gymnastics that I did as a child, dance for many years. I studied mime up in the mountains in Mexico. And I did mime ever since I was like in high school because I wanted to be an actress. And my friend and I thought, oh, we need to go learn mime. So we got a book and we read it and we practiced and did all this stuff. And then going and asking people to help me. I have great coaches and mentors as well. So pulling that all together for that one story that takes no more than 3 minutes, if it's done properly. I have to stop to let the laughter subside during that story. My mom watched me do it in a show one time, and there was a gentleman next to her, and she says this all the time. She says, Carol, this man, I was sitting next to him, he was crying. He was crying so hard. He was laughing and crying so hard. And then he'd look at me and he was like embarrassed, but then he couldn't stop laughing. And then I know I've achieved what I've achieved. But the culmination of all that was not like just picking up the book and reading it. It was creating it. And that's a lot of work. And I feel proud that I put the work into it. So when you say, man, you got to feel proud, I do feel proud that I put the work into it. But I do feel blessed that I had all those experiences and the knowledge and the know-how to kind of bring it all together. Yeah.
Speaking of books, my friend, I want to show our audience this. Tell me about this. This is really interesting. Really, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for folks to sort of bring home that joy to their families too.
Yeah. Alexandra's Balloon. There it is. Written by me and my sister, Amanda. This is my younger sister, Amanda. She illustrated it for me. Yeah.
Very nice.
Alexandra, if you have to know, like, this story is not about this particular girl, Alexandra, but I chose her name because she was actually the daughter of that doctor I was telling you about.
Okay.
And she is now a doctor herself. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book is when she went into JK, her teacher came up. Her mom told me this. Her teacher came to visit her. All the first year JKs, she went to their houses and she gave them a piece of paper and some crayons, and she asked them to draw something. And then she lifted up the paper and she asked Alexandra what it is, the pictures that she drew. And she says, this is Clairol, this is Clairol. And all she talked about the whole time with her teacher was Clairol, right? So I'm kind of paying homage to Alexandra in this book by giving her the title in the book. But it's a really fun book. It's actually my second book. My first book I wrote was with my older sister, who's also an artist in her own right, and that's called Clairol Clickety Clacks. And some of my and it's based on a story that she wrote. They're both completely different styles of illustrations and stuff. I don't know if you can see that, but she wrote it based on me being a tap dancer when I was a little kid. I tap danced everywhere constantly. I still tap dance when I'm pumping gas. Like you can see me tapping my feet away. Anyway, and I laugh. Everyone says, oh, this, I do a tap dance here and there. I do something with a flair. And they say, wow, Clairol, you can dance. And I say, Nancy Pattison? She was my dance teacher. She was my dance teacher. Actually, she and her sister Janice, and to this day we're still, oh, Clairol, how you doing, Nancy? How are you? Anyways, long story. Anyways, so back to the book. So I kind of took a similar theme with this book and made this one, Alexandra's Balloon, a little more read aloudable. Okay, so this is meant to be read aloud, and I've gotten some really good feedback from some parents, like, my 3-year-old keeps requesting this. She keeps requesting it. she won't stop requesting this book. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Because, as we were saying, it can kind of get boring. And the father, is the person who's telling this, said, I love this book. I love reading it. I really, really love reading it. So it's meant to be quite read aloudable. And it works on that premise that I mentioned before about too much, too. And I'll give you an idea. Do you mind if I read a little bit of it?
Please do. Please do.
Awesome. And I'll show you a picture.
Sure.
Okay, it's all about Alexandra blowing up this balloon. And at a birthday party, kids would always tell me, keep blowing it up, keep blowing it up, keep blowing it up, right?
Yeah.
So where it kind of goes, right? I'll just read a little section. This is when she's starting to, I don't know if you can see this. There she is. She's starting to blow up the balloon, right? Oh, all right. So it says, well, the balloon filled Alexandra's room and burst open her door, but she still kept on blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing some more. The balloon squooshed her against the wall, pushed on the ceiling and down the hall, into the kitchen, against the windows, over the couch, and there we go. Popped the roof right off the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to. Well, I can't tell you what the response has been to this right now. We've done multiple printings already. We just finished filling up the wait list. We had extras; those are already on the way out. We have a few left to get out before Christmas, but I may actually have to do another printing because I have a literary luncheon where I'm presenting this book January 29th. And I've completely sold out of books. I'm running out of books. But I would love, if you're interested, you can always just contact me on Facebook Messenger, and we can see about getting you either a soft copy or a hard copy. I got one for you. I want Liam to have a copy of this because
God bless you.
I think you guys would have a really good time reading this book. It's lots of fun. It's not flippy.
Yeah, well, no hate against Blippi. It's just if I can bring him somebody that I have respected and admired for so many years and say, listen, my buddy Claire all did this, because every night either Carrie and I, we always read him something before he goes to bed. So he's got it's important, right? So we'd love to. God bless you.
Gotta keep him reading. If you know what, I had Winnie the Pooh as my mom growing up. Yes, please, Karen Calababa. We'll get one to Kristen for you, okay? I remember her daughter's name, Kristen. How can you forget?
That's awesome.
Calababa. For sure. You got to keep reading to the kids. It's a way to open their world. Yeah.
So 2022 on the horizon. Retirement is here. You're retired. What is next? What are you doing? What outside of being an author and doing the public appearances? What else are you up to?
Well, I do have another book that I'm working on. Two other books I'm working on right now. But for the last 7 years, I've always been very physically fit, very physically active. So about 7 years ago, I went back to school, and now I am a certified. You can call me a personal trainer, but I'm actually a registered exercise health and practitioner. So
awesome.
I know. So I can teach you all the resistance training, all the aerobics, whatever you like. But I like to just call myself a coach. So I work with clients. I had to pivot during the pandemic as well to do everything virtually online there. So it was kind of nice. The two, Clairol and the training all went online. I work with people just trying to achieve their goals, and not always necessarily through fitness. Sometimes it's just about changing your mind and changing your habits and being aware of yourself, and just having that little person say, okay, what's going on here? And but definitely working out constantly. I'm teaching group fitness classes, and
That's awesome.
enjoying that, because it's always been, being physically fit has always been a part of my life. I ran track for years, gymnastics, like I said, dance, swimming. Da, da, da. I'm sailing more with my husband, which is great. We've had a boat.
Wow.
I've sailed all my life, so we've been really getting our boat ready for when he retires in a few years, so that we're going to be taking it down south somewhere. I don't know, Bahamas, wherever. But we're
That's
just going
awesome.
to take it down there and stay for a few months, 3 months, 6 months, however long we can take, and then come back up here. But in the meantime, we keep exploring our own. We both grew up sailing, so it's not anything new to us. I've been racing in our boat, and
Wow.
it's just great reconnecting with friends, and just really enjoying being with my friends and my family. Like, that's something I haven't been able to do as Clairol as often as I had liked to. I missed a lot of showers and weddings and what have you, because I was always at other people's events. And
Sure.
not that I didn't want to be there. I was really happy to be there and enjoyed every single minute of it. But now I think it's time for me. A little bit of time for me. Yeah.
You're a good lady. You're a good
Thank
lady
you,
with a big
sir.
heart.
Thank you, sir. This is in the mail for you. Oh, thank you.
Gloria says, loved
Thanks.
you always. Every time I saw you with my kids, of course. So
Of course. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for bringing your kids with me. Because sometimes I was overheated in those hot. Weren't you overheated? Come on, tell me, Arms. Weren't you overheated sometimes in some of those events?
oh my God. When we used to do the weather with Jimmy, Jim would always, I'd come back to the station after 7 o'clock when we were live,
Yeah.
and I'd be drenched in sweat. I'd take off my jacket and they'd just
Yeah.
be just sweat. And he'd be like, oh,
Oh,
Arms. And I'd be like,
well.
never mind me. What about, like, I'd say, like, what about, I would say, well, Clairol, or, the big wiggles up on
Yeah.
the stage
Yeah.
too. Those guys are up there. Like, never mind me. Like, oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh. Do you know how many? You have no idea the number of times I had heat stroke. I had heat stroke so
Oh
many
God.
times. Come home with a headache, vomit, rehydrate, and then be right out there the next day, and still loved every minute of it. Still loved every minute of it.
True professional. That's
Yeah.
it. End of
Yeah.
the day, true professional. So I will contact you in the new year. Hopefully, we can circle back and have you back
Sure.
on and
Yeah.
shoot the breeze and see how
Yeah.
you've been. But
Yeah.
honestly, you probably hear this a lot, but thank you for everything you've done for Windsor. I think you are Windsor, and judging by the comments today, just a sample of folks who appreciate you over the years and their families too.
Well, I really appreciate you, Arms, and everybody else in the media. And I really, really am grateful for the families that have embraced me. And I've said that throughout my entire career, whether I'm working here or up in Ottawa or out in PEI or out in BC or wherever. I always am amazed that one person will always come up to me and say, "Are you the real Clairol the Clown? Because you did my birthday party back in Windsor." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And they're like, "You were the best." And I appreciate that. I appreciate that the adult children still come up to me now and say, "Oh, thanks for coming to my birthday party." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you. You provided me with a living. You provided me with a career. You provided me with so much joy." So thank you, Windsor Essex. Thank you, Arms. And I really appreciate this tonight.
Oh, God bless you, my friend. It's good to see you, and have a safe New Year. And we'll touch
Yes,
base in 2022. Okay, my friend.
for sure. Make
God
sure you speak
bless.
to Liam. Take care. Bye now.
I will. Thank you so much. Carol Crooks, what an awesome lady. Clairol the Clown. She is so dedicated. And I mean, like 15 years, I would see her at different festivals or be standing ready to go live with Jimmy at 6. And then, lo and behold, we'd be at Summerfest. Guess who's on the stage? It's Clairol the Clown. Oh, we're live on location to kick off Children's Fest this weekend at the Safety Village. Guess who's there? It's Clairol the Clown. We've got to do AM 800 Halloween Harvest Fun Day at Ojibwe Park. Remember those days? Guess who we got? Clairol the Clown. Just an amazing woman with a heart of gold. So happy to have her on the show. A couple of comments. Karen saying, "Hey, great show, Arms." Thank you, Karen. Nice to see you, Carol. And Jamie chimes in, "Clairol the Clown. Always great with my kids." I'm telling you, man, it's a talent. It is a talent. What can you say about her? She's just a lovely lady to be with, and bringing that joy to folks right across Windsor Essex over the years. Sheila says, "Love your shirt, Arms." Yeah, I'm kind of holidaying it up. Just got a few of these hoodies. They're very comfortable. The Grinch. Liam is a big fan of the Grinch, so I figured I would get very comfortable tonight as we welcome Clairol the Clown on. Hey, don't forget that we've got a lot of things happening here on the show. This is season 1. We're heading into season 2 for 2022, and we're always looking for folks to help us continue to do what we do here on the program. You can reach over 3,500 people weekly with each broadcast here on the show, and we engage with close to 17,000 people here in Windsor Essex a month, part of positive news and conversations. So if you'd like to sponsor this show, we do have some sponsorships available, so you can message me directly and help us continue to bring some local positive content to the airwaves digitally here in Windsor Essex County on a weekly basis. So next week on the 16th, which is a Thursday, we are going to be live back here at 8 o'clock with Jan Kaffer, the president and CEO of Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare. She's got lots of stories about Hotel Dieu Grace and certainly their pivots during the pandemic as well. A lot of the hardworking individuals making sure that Windsor and Essex County are safe. And Jan's got stories too through the years in her nursing career and leadership career as well. So really happy to welcome her back to the program and to talk a little bit more as we head into the final few weeks here of 2021. Folks, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here on the program tonight. Don't forget, we are, again, all of our episodes are up on Apple Podcasts. So if you're like, I'd love to tune in, but I can't commit to an hour live, that's okay. You can listen to the show in its podcast form on Apple Podcasts. Just search Arms Boom and Lag, and that went live late last night. Take care of each other. Take care of the neighbors beside you. Have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks for watching the ABP. We'll see you back here next week. Take care.